There's nothing weak about being vulnerable. There's nothing weak about having humility. And most importantly, there's nothing weak about expressing yourself and having feelings. Welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, High Guidance. And that is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, with that being said, because there's no right or wrong way to hold yourself, always and only take what resonates as well as leave the rest. So if it doesn't apply, then that means it's not aligned, which means it is not for you. So don't force it, as well as grab your pens, grab your paper, and be prepared to take notes. For today's video, we're going to go over and discuss how strong you actually are and why it's so important to reassure yourself, remind yourself, and most importantly, continue to encourage yourself, as well as some recommendations, some reminders, some disclaimers, and just certain things that you need to be aware of. So starting off with the first disclaimer, if you hear that squeaking noise, oh my days, I'm sitting on this stool that's like very old. But anyways, when it comes to the first disclaimer, when it comes to the introduction of today's title and topic, you have to understand that you're not weak, especially when you know you've gone through a significant amount of trials and tribulations, such as suffering and struggling, whether it's throughout your entire life, through your childhood, through your teenage years, or through your adult years. Like when you're constantly having to grow up in poverty, when you're constantly dealing with people who are narcissists, when you grow up around abuse, whether that's verbally or physically, when you grow up with people who may be on supplements, who are operating from a lower vibration because of whatever their circumstances, you have to realize that you're not like the average person. And that's going to be the second disclaimer. But it's like, I need you to start reminding yourself of what you've had to go through in life in order for you to start giving yourself a lot more recognition and credit. Because the reason why, and we're going to be talking about this in the next video, so stay tuned, you're like hard on yourself is simply because maybe you weren't taught and shown how to give yourself grace or not be so hard on yourself. But I don't want to spill too much in this video. But it's like, number two, you can't compare your life and what you've had to learn within the first 20, 30, 40, or 50 years compared to other people. Yes, you see people do things, whether they're family members, relatives, classmates, people that you work with, coworkers, do things, but at the end of the day, everyone does not have the same pair of eyes, so everyone does not process or see or experience life the same way. You comparing yourself to other people who look like they're not struggling or suffering is not going to help you, and is the reason why you feel like you're weak. And I'm speaking from experience. What has helped me along my healing journey was to not ever compare my struggles or my sufferings to anybody's winnings or to anybody's blessings or even to their losses, because it's like, we as people don't know how long we're going to go through certain chapters and certain lessons in our life for, and it's very demeaning and degrading to disrespect yourself as well as other people. So it's like, you don't need to compare yourself. You do need to evaluate what it is that you've gone through. So number three, when it comes to realizing how strong you are and giving yourself credit, is knowing when you're allowed to feel vulnerable. And that's what I stated in the beginning of the video. There's nothing weak about vulnerability. There's nothing weak about expressing yourself. There's nothing weak about articulating yourself. Anybody who's ever made you feel like you were too much because you actually knew how to communicate is not somebody who had the emotional intelligence or the emotional capacity to even comprehend what it is that you're saying. You don't have to feel bad about crying. You don't have to feel bad about being angry. You don't have to feel embarrassed about feeling insecure, because it's common. It's not normal to continue to stay in these emotions, which lead to depression and anxiety. But unfortunately, a lot of people experience it more than others, because you have people who suppress people. You have people who gaslight people. You have people who are not a listening ear. Once you realize that you're not able to articulate yourself, express yourself, whether that's physically through journaling, booking a service and session with me, your favorite mental health specialist, following me on this account, going to a therapist, going to a psychiatrist, and for those of you who are into religion and spirituality, seeking God, ancestors, or a high power, you will continue to replay these thought process. And when they come up, instead of you accepting it for what it is and learning how to deal with it or how to handle it, you dismiss it. And every time you sweep things underneath the rug, this is why me personally, I don't like people who are not confrontational. And confrontational is not negative or aggressive or assertive, but like when you sweep your problems underneath the rug and you just don't speak on them, eventually you're gonna crash out. Whether you crash out and you self-sabotage yourself, or you go out your way and hurt and harm every person that comes in contact with you. And I know in real time, because I've met a lot of people that are no longer in my life, that they were going through so much things, and instead of them taking the time to talk about it, because of course you can't force people to talk about things they don't want to, but it's like, you cannot say that you want to become the best version of yourself, or you want to heal, or even realize how strong you are, if you're looking at yourself as somebody weak. So the fourth disclaimer is realizing that you're gonna have to know when to allow yourself to be like doing the absolute most, like when to put so much time, energy, and effort into yourself and the things that you want, versus when you don't need to. Not everything requires your full undivided attention. Not everything requires you to be stressed out. Not everything requires you to overthink or overprocess things. And the more you practice this, which is going to be the fifth disclaimer before we get into the recommendations, the more likely it is that you're able to see results. So similar to the first recommendation, what you have to start doing is taking moments to yourself. The same time we make moments to scroll on our phone for 30 minutes or for hours, the same way we make time to take care of our hygiene when we wake up in the morning, brushing our teeth, washing our face, shaving, whatever it is that you need to do, showering, is the same time you need to start applying to yourself, to where you have days that where whenever you feel anxious, whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, that you're finding outlets to handle it. So that could be you physically resting, that could be you meditating, that could be you exercising, that could be you going to therapy, that could be you watching these videos, taking notes, that could be you just listening to music. Like, you need to have moments to where you can ground yourself if you're somebody who's constantly dealing with stress and constantly going through struggles and trials and tribulations, especially if you're still in environments where you're around certain people, places, and things. And that's going to be the second recommendation. Once you realize that you're capable and you're resilient and you're going to persevere, you have to remove yourself from people and stop listening to people and looking up to people who don't have that same energy. You being strong is only going to offend people who are not strong within themselves. And over here, because we heal ourselves internally, that's what naturopathic physician means, that's what I am as a mental health specialist. It's no need to make other people feel bad because you had to go through certain things, but at the same time, you can't continue to surround yourself with people who don't realize what you go through. Like me personally, I will never take advice from anybody negative in the comment section or real life who judges me for things that they could not do. So if you don't know what it's like personally, and this is why I give you guys 3 examples from experience, if you don't know what it's like to lose a parent, if you don't know what it's like to be in multiple car accidents, and if you don't know what it's like to be fired or to be broke, you can't tell me about myself. You can't sit here and degrade me. You can't embarrass me. You can't belittle me. You can't undermine me. And like I said, I don't even have respect for you. You have to realize that when you go through certain things, it's not cut for everybody. So once you realize that you are 101, he was number 1. Do you know where that's from, or are you too young? Once you realize that you're 101, once you realize that you have to move a certain type of way, once you realize you survived so many trials and tribulations, anything that made your life harder or difficult and challenging, it needs to go. And a lot of times, speaking from experience, it's been the people that were quote unquote like around me or had a certain level of proximity, because as a young person, most people are being told what to do from their parents, their family members, and then unfortunately the adult. And this is why, as a grown adult, I'm not here to represent pedophiles and predators and people who are grown adults who hurt and harm people, because at the end of the day, you will suffer in every lifetime. You will be dealt with. Like, don't think all that stuff does not get on scene, because it does. But anyways, I dealt with a lot of older people growing up as a child who would withhold support and who were envious and who felt like because they were better, or they were elderly, that they, and it's just like nobody has time for that. So it's like, once you realize that certain people, even relationships with like friends and communities, once you realize people are not helping you, people are not financing you, feeding you, motivating you, pouring into you, they're draining you, and like I said, they're putting these obstacles, even with partners, people, like some people, I've had people try to pursue me to humble me or to do like negative things to me, and it's just like I've had to remove myself. Same thing with the work environments. I've been in work environments where I have gotten fired and I have dealt with people sitting here trying to get me like written up, and even people in my quote unquote, like, I wouldn't say relatives, but people that I was related to, just going out their way. And it's just like, you need to remove yourself from them, because when people are just miserable in general, which we're also going to be talking about too this month, you just have to let them be. So when it comes to the 4th recommendation, I believe, you need to know that it's okay to not always feel strong and to not always know what you want to say or what you want to do. This is why the first recommendation was just taking time to yourself, to just have moments to yourself. Like, you don't always have to do something. You're not lazy because you're not always working or talking or just having a trillion tasks to do. This is why so many people end up being burnt out, like, and overworked and overwhelmed and are so anxious and feel weak, because it's like you're doing the most. Like, yes, there's a time and a place for you to go above and beyond, but if it's not that moment, relax. Like, learn to really just allow yourself to realize, I have survived being fired. I did survive losing a parent. I did survive multiple accidents. Yes, in the moment, like when you're going through things, you need to recover from it, because if you don't, like I said, sweeping things underneath the rug isn't going to change the intuition isn't going to change the situation, and it is just only going to validate the trauma. So it's just like, once you come to terms that you went through certain things, you don't need to compare yourself to certain people. If people are not willing to get to know you without judging you or allowing you to be you, you don't need to beat yourself up. You don't need to continue to be so hard on yourself. You can realize, okay, I went through this and I'm okay. And lastly is just learning how to be proud of yourself. And I'm speaking from experience. What has helped me along my healing journey within the past couple of years in my life was to just realize how proud I am. Yes, you may not be where you want to be. Yes, you went through all the things that you went through. Nobody's invalidating your experience. But I'm telling you, it's like, once you realize, wow, like, I am built for this. I did go through this. I did lose that. I did go up. I did go down, but I'm still here. You can learn to breathe. And the more you're able to breathe, the more you're able to relax, the more you're not anxious and overwhelmed, the more you're able to problem solve, the more you're able to realize when certain adversities are going to happen to you and what you do moving forward. So therefore, you don't allow it to weigh you down, drain you, or continue to stay in those cycles. Whatever questions, whatever answers, comments, or concerns, what related with you, let me know down in the comment section, as well as follow me on all my social media platforms, which is also down in the description down below, as well as booking your service session if you just want to chit chat, get to know me so I can get to know you. If not, on Instagram, on TikTok, let me know if you guys want me to talk about this in real time or live. But I love you. You are loved. You're not alone. Until next time. Oh my gosh. Thanks for watching. Peace.